Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Jerry Laricchiuta.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to start off first by clearing up something, Mr. Schmidt. You made a declaration that in the agreement that was signed between CSCA, myself, and County Executive Mangano, that if NIFA were to be activated, the deal was null and void. In fact, the language says it would be the CSCA options if the county executive loses control of the finances of this county.
That's not the wording that we got. That's not the wording that's in the agreement we signed.
That's the wording that I have on it. And in fact, I spoke to you that night when we discussed the deal, and I said, "Are you on board with this? Did you read it?" And you said to me exactly, and if you want to do verbatim, you said it doesn't cost the county any money, it saves the taxpayers some money, I'm all for it.
Right.
And yet you never got a chance to...
And then I found out that there was 3.5% raises tacked on to the end. 7% raises cost the county money.
Well, when I asked you if you read it, and you told me you did, I assumed you saw that.
We were going in to be briefed, Mr. Laricchiuta, as you were coming out.
Well, I wanted to
So
clear that up.
how could we have read it or been briefed on it?
Well, I just wanted to clear that one part up. You know, as we sit here, we have three proposed budgets that are basically out there right now. One is the one that was delivered by Mr. Mangano, and that's been spoken about and quite a bit. We understand there's going to be amendments to that. We have amendments from both the Republican majority and the Democratic minority. And there is stark contrast in both. One, the Republican majority's amended budget is an attack, once again, on the very people that work here. It calls for $51 million in layoffs, in addition to $80 million more in concessions. In addition to the fact that we remain frozen in step in wages for 4 more years. When you say we wanted NIFA in the room, we did. And when we met NIFA, we learned for the first time that they have no plans on leaving in 2012, despite if this budget is balanced or not. That was a big determination in how we had to perceive that conversation. Basically, we walked out of there and said, regardless of what we do, we're frozen for 4 more years. So I have to go back and tell my members that are stuck at $19,000 a year that no matter what happens here, if we are able to come to an agreement, you'll be stuck at $19,000 a year for at least 4 years, because NIFA's not leaving until 2015. That kind of put a crimp in the whole "we like NIFA in the room" deal. Well, because Mr. Schmidt, that once again, you know, I don't know what happened. I'm a Republican, as I've said many times. Part of the party, I was a committeeman for 16 years. But I got to tell you, the Republicans that I met and became friends with 20-somewhat years ago are not the same Republicans I'm staring at right now on the left side of this room. Because these Republicans have decided to take the national agenda and attack the very workforce, day after day after day. You quoted Mr. Schmidt as saying that, in fact, you know, if the unions refuse to come and negotiate, then we will extract it. Is that correct? Did you not say that?
I said something to the effect that if we're going to have a balanced budget without a tax increase, that there must be labor concessions, and if the labor concessions are not made, then we'll have to extract it with cuts. Yes, that's what we have to do.
Illegal
We're
cuts.
not raising taxes.
Illegal cuts that were not negotiated, and which is one of the reasons why I believe that law was pulled, because eventually brighter minds availed and said, listen, this law that we were going to pass is just not going to work because it's illegal. Now, that being said...
That I find this amazing. You know, the county executive proposed that law. It's sitting on my desk. I did not put it on in front of this legislature. I didn't do that. I didn't put it in front of this legislature. We sought another way. And yet, you blame me. That's fine. I'll take that blame. We'll find another way. We're going to have a balanced budget without a tax increase. That's what's going to happen here. It's going to happen. Oh, by the way, I should let everybody know that it's going to happen on Sunday at 7 o'clock. Make sure you're here. because that's when we're gonna adopt the amendments, and that's where I vote on the amendments, and that's when we're gonna adopt the budget. And the reason we're doing it on Sunday is because the 7-day rule that's in the county charter has been thrown about, that the amendments haven't been here for 7 days. They were all filed, Democrat and Republican, on Sunday. So 7 days is Sunday coming up, and that's when we're gonna do it.
And we'll be here Sunday, absolutely, we'll be here Sunday. And, but I understand there's another proposal that came from the Democratic side that offered a balanced budget. I don't believe there was a tax increase in that proposal, and in fact calls for no layoffs, so that the services to the county residents will remain as they are, which are already substandard in many areas, okay? And yet, it calls for $44 million in labor concessions, which, although that's a big number, I think with 5 unions getting together, at least we have a chance. It's something that might be attainable. When you're asking for $51 million in layoffs, you're going to cripple this county. It's almost there now. There'll be basically not one single department that'll be able to fulfill its obligations to the residents. So what this majority is doing is putting a stranglehold on the residents, not just the unions. You're crippling us both. And if this continues, Nassau County will be the highest tax county and the least desirable place to live. And because of your decisions, our home values will decrease even further, and Nassau County is going to be destroyed. To take a serious look at and if ever there was a time for bipartisan cooperation, if ever, this has to be the time. We are in the most crucial part of our history here in Nassau County, and we need you to take a serious look at the other amendments coming from the Democrats, which in fact call for no layoffs, no cuts in services, no tax increase, and yet it balances the budget because it allows us to use some of the rainy day fund that you say will make our bond ratings cripple or plunge, as you said. But in fact, when Nassau County, in July, when you come back to us and say, once again, our budget for 2012 is imploding, we cannot survive, we need more labor concessions, then our bond ratings will fall even further. Because the budget that's going to be passed here on Sunday, if it's the GOP amended budget, is pie in the sky, it's unrealistic, it's unattainable, it's a failure, it's doomed from day one, because there's no way that I can go back to my members and tell them that they're going to take a $12,000 pay cut, stay frozen for 4 years, and have $51 million worth of layoffs. And if you don't think that's an attack on labor, then shame on you. You're going to extract things from our contract. We're going to extract a couple of you out of your seats in November. So much, it's disgusting, it's embarrassing. I still remain Republican, but I'm embarrassed, like the man said earlier, to call myself a Republican today in Nassau County because of the attack that you guys have taken against your very workers. It's despicable, it's unfair, it's dishonest, and I'll tell you what, this budget you're going to pass on Sunday is going to fail like everything else you've been doing for the last 2 years.
Have you talked to the administration?
We have spoken to Mr. Mangano a number of times, at least 6 or 7 times. We indicated to him we didn't know NYPA was sticking around for 4 years. We thought if we were part of the solution and the budget was balanced, NYPA would say, hey guys, the county did a good job, labor did a good job, everyone shared sacrifices, therefore we're on our way. We learned that night that no matter what we do, no matter how many people go on unemployment, NYPA is sticking around for 4 more years. How do I go back to my members now and tell them that you're going to be stuck in that step, stuck in the wage freeze, and I'm going to make concessions for $50 million? It's impossible.
It is my understanding that the wage freeze counts towards the...
No disrespect intended, it does not.
Okay.
It does not.
We will pursue that. Mr. Sullivan is up because I'm getting conflicting information. The point of the matter is that, you know, for all of you, you come down here and you're telling us what's unattainable and what the number is and what's.
Well, do you think it's attainable? Do you really think that I can tell a $19,000 a year employee can take a $12,000 pay? Honestly, you think that's
I
attainable?
don't think that's an attainable number, no. But I
Okay,
don't know
well,
if
that's what they want.
But I don't know if that's the number, and I don't know if you've sat down.